Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Shane Smolian from Wolf Trader Futures. And if you're into tech stocks and AI, today's video is a must watch. NVIDIA just dropped their Q2 fiscal 2026 earnings report on August 26, and it's a mix of massive wins and a few jitters. I'm going to break this down and we'll dive into the daily stock chart, looking at the Fed juice, the quad lunar cycle, and the BAT model for a potential breakout. So let's jump in here. So first of all, the NVIDIA headline numbers are insane. NVIDIA reported revenue of uh, 46.74 billion for the quarter ending in July of 2025. So that's a whopping 56% jump year over year from the $30 billion last year, and it will beat Wall Street estimates of 46.06 billion earnings per share. Adjusted EPS came in at $1.05, smashing the expected $1.01, up from 67 cents a year ago. Net income soared 59% to 26.42 billion. This marks 9 straight quarters of over 50% growth since mid 2023. Pretty crazy stuff. NVIDIA is absolutely dominating the AI boom. So breaking it down by segments, the data centers business, which is the heart of their AI empire, hit 41.1 billion, up 56% year over year. That's driven by demand for GPUs and networking gear, with compute revenue at 33.8 billion and networking at 7.3 billion, nearly double from last year. Gaming revenue is popping 49% to 4.3 billion, showing a very strong recovery in PC hardware. And their automotive and robotics arm grew 69% to 586 million, fueled by AI in self-driving tech. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everything was perfect. The data revenue missed slightly. The data center revenue missed slightly at 41.34 billion estimate, marking the second quarter in a row with a shortfall there. Plus, there were no sales of H2O processors to China due to export restrictions, though they released some inventory elsewhere. CFO Colette Kress highlighted uncertainty around China, saying they could ship 2 to 5 billion of H2O if geopolitics allow. Overall, she projected 3 to 4 trillion in global AI infrastructure spending by decade's end. So that's massive. So looking ahead to Nvidia's guidance for Q3, it's 54 billion plus or minus 2%, which tops the 53.1 billion analysts expected. But they're not baking in any China sales, so that's conservative. And I think that will change, by the way. That's definitely going to change. So the market's reaction, shares dipped after hours despite the beats, likely due to data center miss and ongoing China worries. NVIDIA is up over 100% year to date, but the volatility is real in this AI hype cycle. And I do think that we are going to continue to see this AI boom grow. From an astrological perspective, we have Pluto into Aquarius and we have Uranus in Gemini. Those are two really, really powerful planetary alignments for AI to continue for a long time. I think this is just getting started. And with Uranus and Gemini, that is a time when we've had technological advances going, but and a lot of times this has been during wars. If you think back during World War II, if you think about all of the technology that the Germans came out with the tanks and the jets and the flying bombs and the V2 rocket, and then the Manhattan Project. If you think back to World War II with Enigma, with the Polish and the British cracking that code, this was all technology and innovations, and that was Uranus and Gemini. So Uranus is in Gemini again here. So I do think that this will continue, and AI. I mean, we are just getting started. I mean, these aspects, Uranus and Gemini, is so powerful for AI that we have a ways to go on this. This is definitely not some kind of a dot-com boom, and I think it's a mistake when people try to compare uh, what we're looking at right now in terms of even market peaks with the Fed, and then you're talking about AI, which is a sustainable business model with these planetary alignments. I think this is a totally different time. I think this has a lot of legs going forward. So we're going to look at the chart here. This is a chart that we actually do have in our service. This is NVIDIA daily here, and this has been in a sell too. So it's not really too surprising that the stock did not pop too much even with the earnings. So you can see here the Fed juice is down here and it lines up here with this arrow. The Fed juice did go into a sell here on 729. So It has been just kind of in this pattern where it's just kind of going sideways, so it's not really doing too much here. The Fed use does pick this up. And of course, here in the, so this is the Fed use in the red. Let me just show you. The Fed use on NVIDIA has been just spectacular. Just following the Fed use alone has been really, really good. You can see these red arrows here. The Fed use has picks up these moves beautifully. So it did pick up this flattening out too. It has been flattening in this phase here since 729. Now, if you look at the blue arrows here, this is the quad lunar cycle, and you can see these are patterns that we give to subscribers up to 4 months in advance. You can see these signals. In other words, all of these blue arrows that you see here, these trades were called 4 months in advance. Yes, I'm not, you didn't hear that wrong. It's 4 months in advance. So the quad lunar cycle is a really nice indicator to use because you get this stuff so far ahead of time. The Fed use is nice because it takes into account what the Federal Reserve is doing. But you put them together, you get a really nice signal. And then, of course, we have the BAT model here. The BAT model being this breakout system here. You can see these green dots here. Anytime the stock is above those levels, it's a buy, and if it's below, it's a sell. But what we do with the tricore matrix is we combine all three of these together so you get a clear signal. So one of the problems when you have a lot of trading systems is it can get confusing and you need to have a decision maker. Everything about trading is having a decision maker. It's not about eyeballing a chart and looking at this one or that one. It's when the system says it's a buy or a sell, it's a buy or a sell, and you have to make a decision on that. So what we have here, we have a sell to signal because although it did break out here on the bat, you can see that the Fed use and the quad lunar cycle are both still into a sell pattern here. So I do expect us to be holding here sideways. Now you notice that there's no extra arrow out here for the next quad lunar cycle, and that's because we're coming up to the next 4 months, which is going to come out. And I will have that published in the next by September the 1st. I'm going to have that published by the next cycle. We have our newsletters coming out on the 1st of September, which is going to be right, just basically it's Labor Day. So that's right around the corner. And I will have the next 4 months of signals for you on NVIDIA, but this has just been a very beautiful stock to track. It doesn't matter what perspective you look at. If you look at the BAT model, you can see the breakouts are beautiful. If you look at the quad lunar, you can see it's beautiful. And if you look at the Fed use, you can see it's tracking this very well. So right now it's in a sell too, but we will see what happens coming up here. If the Fed juice does go back into a buy, it will turn back into a buy too. But you can see right now the Fed juice is laying pretty low there into the sell pattern here, and we're still waiting for that update on the quad lunar. If the quad lunar does go into a buy in early September, this will go back into a buy too also. So there's lots of opportunity here still for NVIDIA to head higher, but right now it is in that sell to signal. All right, guys. So thanks very much for stopping by today. What do you think about NVIDIA and their earnings? What do you think about their potential for the future? Comment in the section below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And remember, the one thing to remember is always follow the Fed juice. Have a great day.